You know, there was a saying I often heard when I was younger. In my early 20s, and even a little bit before that, I entered the workforce around 16, so it was really as early as I can think of around that age. I often dealt with customers with some sort of customer service, first working in a grocery store and other times working on the phone and doing a variety of things, working as a server. I always dealt with people, and there was always a common thing that at first I didn't recognize it, I didn't pick up on it, but there was a common thing I would hear, and it would usually come in the form of a gentleman that I would say would usually be around 70, maybe even older, sometimes a little younger, but usually in that range, towards what you would consider based on how longevity and things in their the last couple decades of their life, maybe even the last decade, when they're faced with mortality, when they're faced with the realization that I'm not young anymore, I no longer have my youth, and this death thing is real. I'm facing it right now. And I used to hear this saying. They would often say to me, man, you know what? I mean, obviously not in this way. I'm just going to say it in my own words. But the common message was, hey, I remember when I was your age. And if I was your age again, I would. And I heard that. And then I heard it again, more or less paraphrasing. Hey, I remember when I was your age. I used to feel good and used to have all kinds of energy and have all the time in the world ahead of me. If I was your age, I would. And, I kind of heard that, but I just continued doing my life, continued doing my things, continued doing the young things you do, the immature things you do when you're not quite there, you don't quite know yourself, you're just trying to impress people, just trying to do something, trying to be something. You feel like you have to be this certain thing, you have to fit in this certain mold. At least I did. I don't know, maybe you don't relate with me, but I'm taking a bet that the majority of people relate to me because I'm just a regular guy. I came out of Maine. I understand what it's like to be in a place where you're at a job you don't like, you're in debt, you don't know exactly where you're going or why you're even going that direction. You don't even know, but you think, you're like, oh, that person has it together, or those people have it together, or they think that, I need to have it together. The world says I need to have it together, I need to be rich and famous and have cars and have a mansion and have this stuff, and then I will be happy. I remember those days when I used to think that things would make me happy, when I used to think that somehow happiness was in another person or in another thing or in another experience and everywhere else but within myself. But I used to hear this thing. If I was your age, I would. If I was your age, I would. If I was your age, if I could do it all over again, I would do this.
And for me, I've had a few things that I've lined up in place to make sure that it happens. There is planning, there's strategizing, there's steps that I've put into place that make sure I show up between planning on the calendar, taking certain supplements, and even now having a purpose to rise, rising with purpose, having a 5-day-a-week idea that I'm not just gonna dilly-dally through my day. I have a reason, I have a purpose. There's a huge purpose because I want huge things. If you don't want huge things, then don't worry about it, and there's no judgment here. I'm only talking to you if you're like, I want to go so much more, I want to do so much more, I want to have so much more, I want to be so much more. If that's you, that's who I'm talking to because that's where I was and this is what I've done. So, I hope you'll come with me. I hope you'll rise with purpose. You don't have to do it at 4 a.m., but set a time, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I don't care. Whatever you got to do, after work, before work, after school, before school, in between, whatever we have to do, whatever has to be done, find a way to create the discipline because that's when you're going to create the better life. And with that struggle, with that obstacle, as you overcome it and you show up every day and you test your will, when you get to that point where you're about to fall off or you usually step back from the cliff, you're going to rise with purpose as we go into 2016 and we finish the year. My God, I'm so passionate about this. Woo! Unscripted. Let's go. Let's rise with purpose. Better Body Natty. See ya.